Hi, my name is Scott. This is the No Solution channel, and this is my first video. And I thought, what better way to stand out from the pack than to do exactly what every other channel is doing right now and do my year-end list. So that's what we're doing. The disclaimers that everyone is making are the same for me. These are my favorite albums of the year. Not necessarily the best. I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff that probably would be on the list. But you can only listen to so many things. So there are about 60 full-length original records this year that I listened to that I felt comfortable rating and putting on a list. So time is valuable. I'll try not to waste yours. Let's get right into it. I did a top 15. My number 15 is Savage Master, Those Who Hunt at Night, from Shadow Kingdom Records. If you're not familiar with Savage Master, they are a traditional metal band that I'm a big fan of, and I've always liked them way more live than I have the studio records. But this record, they got closer, I think, to the live experience. And the biggest recommendation I can make for them, I dragged my wife to a show, and she has zero interest in heavy metal, and she thought they were great. So if you haven't heard them, I would give them a chance. Number 14, Black Salice, Esoteric Atavism on Iron Bonehead. Super raw black metal. The first track on this, it seems like they were trying to scare people off because it's the first couple times you hear it, it kind of almost just sounds like noise. But there's a lot of beautiful stuff on there if you can get past the raw production. To me, the raw production just adds to it. It gives it a great atmosphere. And this is another great effort from them. We'll go number 13, self-titled from White Spade. This is Athanar from Midnight's Motorhead tribute band, I guess you would say. They're original songs, but in the style of Motorhead. I'm a huge Midnight fan, and Midnight also put out a new album this year, but I thought White Spade was better. So check it out. Next, we've got Drudka, if that's how you say it. And I will say the American pronunciation because I am a stupid American who doesn't know any other languages. So the English translation is All Belong to the Night. This is on Season of Mist, Underground Activists. I don't know what I can say about them that people don't already know. If you like modern day Drudka, you will like this. There's only 4 songs on here. They're all very long, very emotional, post-black-ish. If you don't like the new style they've had the last 10 or so years, you probably won't like this. But if you do, this is another solid one. I lost my place. Number 11. We've got Denouncement Pyre, Forever Burning on Agonia Records. This is blackened death metal from Australia. It's been quite a while since these guys put out an album, and the last one was a little more, they're kind of branching out. This is a bit back to basics, just pummeling the entire way through, but every song is memorable. It's not just beating you over the head, and when it's done, you don't remember what happened. I don't know what it is about Australia, but they can really do this style better than anybody. So this was a highlight of the year for me. Next one, we've got number 11, Shed the Skin. I'm going to try Thermogenesis, I believe it's called, from Hell's Headbangers. These are death metal vets. It's got Matt and Ed, I believe, from Ringworm, and Ash Thomas from a million bands. Faith Extractor is probably the most known. And Kyle from Incantation on drums. This is their fourth album, and it's, to me, by far their best. All the songs are memorable, and this really surprised me. I've always liked their stuff, but it's always just kind of like, yeah, it's good, and kind of forget about them until the next one comes out. But this one's going to be sticking around. They've really come into their own with this one. Next, we have number 10, White Rune, Dawn of the White Rune on Hammer of Hate. This is the main guy from Silun Vihalainen, I believe. It's Finnish. Sorry for my pronunciation. This is his more symphonic black metal project. If you are into, I'll say, dissection, it's along those lines. Really different from his main band. More of an air of melancholy to it, but just super killer the whole way through. Next, we have number 9, Acid Witch, Rot Among Us, on Hell's Headbangers. Another favorite of mine. They seem to rarely put out full lengths. The last full length, Evil Sound Screamers, it was good, but it was so Halloween centric. It was like you could only listen to it during that time. It would otherwise was like listening to Christmas music in June. This one is much more a year-round record. Death Doom, I guess you would call it, but a lot of kind of horror movie style keyboards. All the songs are good. Just a great record. Next, we have Nazgor, Seventh Secular Crusade on The Wild Hunt, a label I'd never even heard of. These guys have been around for 10 or so years. They went on a stint there where they put out 6 albums in 5 years, and each one was better than the last. This is, I mentioned dissection before. This is kind of almost straight dissection worship. So if you're into that style, I would say check them out. They on this one, they sort of more brevity, I guess I would say. All their other albums have been like an hour or an hour plus. This one's 40 minutes. Get in, get out. Every song is good, and it's one of those that it's a good length, but once it's done, you just want to listen to it again, other than like, oh, thank God it's over. So Nazgor on the upswing again. Number 6, Avantasia, a paranormal evening with the Moonflower Society. I can hear the groans now. Yes, this is Disney metal. So friggin' well done, though. I mean, if you're not familiar with the project, it's Tobias Sammet from Edguy and a slew of guest vocalists, and they're all great. Just one of those that's instantly catchy, and you like it more every time you listen to it. Next, we have Nocturnal Mortem. And again, I'm not going to try Ukrainian, so To Moonlight Poetry. I kind of broke my own rules on this one. This is a re-recording, reimagining of their demo from 1996, which was just called Lunar Poetry. But it's so different, so much more instrumentation, different arrangements. It's basically a new album. And since what they're doing was a demo and not technically what they consider a full-length album, I decided to include it. And it's just so good, I just couldn't leave it out. If you're not familiar, pagan black metal from Ukraine. Then we have number 4, Nechachuan, Kanawa Black, from Binary Recordings. sort of a Native American themed black metal band, but with a lot of like acoustic and clean parts. I'm not as familiar with these guys as I should be. I've heard stuff over the years, and I always kind of liked it, but they kind of always seem too long to me. They kind of just dragged on. This one is a tight 40-some minutes, and they spent a lot of time on it, and you can tell everything on it just sounds perfect. If you haven't heard them, or if you have heard them and you're like, oh, not quite for me, like I was, I would definitely check this one out. It's their best by far, in my opinion. Number 3, White Ward, False Light. This is the fancy cover I paid extra for, so here's the actual cover. Another Ukrainian band, I guess you would call them post-black metal, with the saxophone, very prominent saxophone, so if you're not into that, might want to steer clear. But just so great. I mean, it's got crushing parts, it's got really beautiful parts, it merges the two together really well. I was really anticipating this one, and a lot of times when you're that hyped up about something, it's not going to live up to it, but it exceeded my expectations. It's really great. I highly recommend it. Now, my 1 and 2 were flip-flopping quite a bit, but this is what eventually settled on. Number 2, Devin Townsend, Lightwork. Any other year, this would probably be number 1. I mean, I can't say anything bad about it. This was basically perfect. Maybe a conceptual album. I'm not exactly sure, but it feels like it is. It feels like you're going on a journey through the whole thing. And just very, very, very satisfying. Some different kinds of sounds for Devin. And, yeah. You get it. Just get it. Or at least listen to it a couple times first. Give it a try, but I think unless you're really not on board with what he's doing, you're gonna really love it. And my number 1 is not metal at all. My number 1 is An Hour Before It's Dark by Marillion. If you're here because you were linked from another metal channel, you might be like, what? Marillion are a long-running prog band. This is their 20th-ish album, depending on how you count. It's a masterpiece. This is a band that can consistently write songs that make me tear up, which doesn't happen very often. They take a long time to make an album now. This was 6 years, I believe. And their mindset has been, we don't know how many more records we're going to make, so everyone, we better act like it's the last one and make it a good one. And it's hard to say, being that it just came out this year, but it's near the top of my Marillion list. I would encourage anyone to check it out. Some of the songs are long, you know, there's a 15-minute one, but they don't feel long. There's lots of different movements, and you're never stuck on the same part for 10 minutes. It keeps it moving. So yeah, that is my list for the year. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please forgive my stumbling over my words, and this is my first solo YouTube video. I've done a couple collaborations with Eli from Dark Hymns of the Cold North. Shout out to you, Eli. Thanks for the encouragement. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Later.